Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. Here's the headline from Daily Hodl. Ripple executive says proposed XRP upgrade will be game changer. But really, it could have been a little more precise because who they're talking about, first of all, it's David Schwartz, who is co-creator of the XRP ledger itself, and he's Ripple CTO, but he didn't say it was just going to be a game changer. He said it would be a huge game changer. Bam! So I'm going to be running through this piece, and it gets interesting because there was a back and forth I'm going to be sharing with you on the Twitters between David Schwartz and notable XRP community member Galgatron, who is just he's one of the people in my early days. He shared so much information. He was willing to answer my questions. I'm always going to be appreciative and thankful of that. But he's just got such a sharp analytical mind, in my humble opinion. Even if you guys think he's a little spicy, I know that there are varying opinions on this. I'm just sharing mine. I'm a big fan of Galgatron, and I think that he has a handle, generally speaking, on what's going on. But he had a back and forth with David Schwartz, which I think was rather productive, actually. And ultimately, what they were getting at is what's going on with as a result of what happened with the ledger effectively halting. I'm sure many of you are aware of it at this point, but November 13th or 14th of 2018, the XRP ledger actually halted for 52 minutes. And so ultimately what David Schwartz is getting at here is a proposal to squash this, and it would just be a game changer in terms of the way the ledger operates. Potentially a big deal. Of course, if you're talking about changing the way the XRP ledger operates, then it still has to get approved by validators, so there's a voting process and all that, and this will come after months of testing inside of Ripple if they think that it's an amendment worth proposing. But before going any further, if you would please ever so delicately tap the like button, I would definitely appreciate the support. And also, if you are a fan of Ripple and XRP, you done came to the right spot, son. Go ahead and subscribe to the Moon Lambo channel, lest your heart be left yearning. That will happen. All right, shout out to the Rock XRP for sending this piece, this Daily Hodl piece to me. Thank you very much, my friend. I do appreciate you tagging me there. Ripple Chief Technology Officer David Schwartz says a new XRP ledger upgrade will be a game changer. Each server in the XRP ledger has a unique node list, or UNL for short, containing its list of validators. The new upgrade will account for validators that may be offline or malfunctioning due to hardware maintenance, internet issues, attacks, and or external circumstances like natural disasters. Exactly. And so the way that it's treated right now, if the validator's down, it's purely down right now. But I think it makes sense, and that's why I love this proposal, and I hope that it actually works when they test it. And if so, I hope that it then gets approved when its amendment is proposed and then ultimately voted on. Because it's just a way to increase uptime of the XRP ledger, in theory at least, in a safe way, without having to add a bunch of validators, which, should ultimately, that should be a goal. Like, we want more validators. I'm not saying that we don't. But regardless of what your pool of validators looks like in terms of quantity, of course, quality is more important anyway, but even if you're just looking at quantity, it's a metric to track. It's something worth being aware of. But here's the fix. So here's a quote from the XRP Ledger website. The negative UNL is a list of trusted validators which are believed to be offline or malfunctioning, as declared by a consensus of the remaining validators. Validators in the negative UNL are ignored for determining if a new ledger version has attained consensus. And then there's a couple tweets on the screen from David Schwartz, as you can see right there. And so Schwartz says the upgrade, which can currently be used in test networks but is not yet available as an amendment to the XRP Ledger protocol, will make it easier to enable more diverse validators. And here's a quote. When choosing a validator, performance is not the only criterion. Jurisdiction, institutional commitment, network redundancy, commitment to the network, and many other factors have to go into that. The biggest advantage of the negative UNL proposal is that it will make it easier to say yes to more diverse validators, even if they are running on a single residential connection with a tiny machine in someone's living room. And so the Ripple CTO highlights that the negative UNL can also enhance XRP Ledger's decentralization. And here's another quote. It significantly reduces the risks associated with adding more validators, allowing us to improve decentralization without risking liveness. And so here's the thread now. Trade Traderson tagged Galgatron. That's a good tag right there. And Galgatron did jump in, and David Schwartz responded here. And I thought this was a cool back and forth. So I wanted to share this. A couple of those tweets, I apologize. I can't remember when I mapped out my videos earlier today. I do that all at once typically, and then I take a break. And so I can't remember if the quotes that I cited here, if there's any overlap of what I just covered. I apologize, because this is the Twitter thread. Some of it could have been pulled. It could have been from a different portion. I just don't recall off the top of my head. But for the sake of flow, we're just going to go through it regardless. Anyway, so Galgatron was responding to everything that I just covered, which ultimately made it to that Daily Hodl piece, and wrote, "I see this as a stopgap until there are considerably more validators, but it is a great feature to improve halt tolerance." To which David Schwartz responded, "It significantly reduces the risks associated with adding more validators, allowing us to improve decentralization without risking liveness." Okay, so yeah, that part was in the piece. All right. Galgatron then responded, "Agreed, but only in lowering validator qualifications. And I'm not saying that's a negative, quite the contrary, but it won't improve recruitment of high-quality validators. I see UNL's primary value to be halt mitigation today, but two sides of the same coin, I guess." David Schwartz then responded, "In an ideal world, you could add a diverse mix of validators, including many low-quality ones, and still have best-in-class protection against losing the ability to make forward progress. Negative UNL brings us closer to that. If you accept mostly high-quality validators because you fear risk of being unable to make forward progress, most of your validators will look similar. Enterprises with redundant networks and 24/7 monitoring and response. That's not ideal for centralization," which is an interesting point, because it's not something that I had considered before. And when I'm doing my research and just catching up with the news on a day-to-day basis, I don't, admittedly, and I'm sure many of you are like this as well and know this about me, I don't dig as much into the tech side, and that's because, admittedly, it's important, but I'm more of like a big picture type of guy, and the reason is, I pick up little bits along the way, and that's good. I'm glad I'm doing that, but I'm legitimately less interested, and so I don't choose what I'm interested in. That's just the thing about humans in life. You don't choose what you're interested in, rather you discover it. And so I discovered that doesn't particularly interest me, but tracking news on a daily basis and just learning things along the way, that's fun, and talking about it and making YouTube videos, genuine interest for whatever reason, that just strikes me as it does. And so that anyway, but the reason I mentioned that is just to say, is a long way of just making the point that I hadn't even heard that consideration before. And so I'm not a Mr. Know-It-All. I am absolutely still learning, especially when it comes to stuff on the tech side here. I don't know, for some reason, it's just, to me, maybe you're the same, maybe you're not. I'm always more interested in the fundamentals, the big business plan for Ripple, if you will, all that good stuff. What does the crypto space look like in general? But as far as the tech stuff, it's kind of I don't need to know how the sausage is made. To use the internet, I don't need to understand all of the underlying code and protocols that make it possible, right? I can still understand conceptually why it's here, and just kind of get the bigger picture, and that's pretty much just as good. But anyway, Galgatron responded to that and wrote, "Do you mean that decentralization suffers in the sense that they are homogeneous in attack surface, or because they are well known? Also, I thought your estimate of 60 to 100 UNL members was spot on. Wouldn't we want those to be enterprise grade?" And this gets interesting, and so I don't remember when David Schwartz originally stated that, but I do remember something to that effect, and he was just speaking in a general sense about more or less an ideal number of validators. But anyway, David Schwartz responded, there are two sides to this. One is that higher quality, redundant network links, 24/7 man response, institutional commitment are better. The other is that if every entry in your UNL is like that, it's much less diverse than it could be, and there's no room for the enthusiast running a validator in her living room. I favor a mix. Negative UNL makes that more realistic. Which I think is a fair enough point. And Galgatron to this point has not responded, so maybe he agrees. I don't know, maybe he's thinking about it, I'm not sure, but that's where the thread between those two back and forth ended. And so I found it fascinating. It's always good because, most of the news, it's not anything, even approaching a technical nature. And so this is a little bit closer to that, which is outside of the type of stuff that's in the news. And as a result, less likely to be covered on this channel or any other XRP YouTuber's channel. It just doesn't pop up that much. But when it does, I do find it interesting enough to like. Well, this is in the form of a conversation. Like that makes it much more easy. Like to my perspective, much easier to digest and enjoy. So take that for what it's worth, though. So there we are, but that is it for this video. I am not a financial advisor. Do not buy or sell anything because of anything that I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.